I've helped a significant number of men and women overcome countless failed diet attempts and completely transform their physiques. In this video, I'm going to tell you what makes a great diet, what makes a bad diet, and what actually works. And my honest answer might actually surprise you. Having worked with so many clients over the years, there really aren't many different diets that I haven't come across. Keto, fasting, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, shake diets, Cambridge diet, you name it, I've come across it. Every single diet that's out there has one common goal, which is to put you in a calorie deficit, which is needed to lose fat. To give you an idea of how a calorie deficit works, you can see in this picture here, we've got Dave, who is currently consuming 2,000 calories per day. And then throughout the course of every single day that goes by, through his steps, through his workouts, through simply the calories burned just by being alive, he is burning 2,500 calories, which means we have that 500 calorie deficit which we need, and he is going to be losing weight and losing fat each week. But without that deficit, we are not going to see the changes on the scale, and we're certainly not going to see the changes from a body composition perspective unless the number is going consistently down. There are studies that suggest we need to create a calorie deficit of 3,500 if we want to lose 1 pound of body fat. That would mean being in a calorie deficit of 500 calories per day for a week to be able to lose 1 pound. So as an example, if you've got a goal of losing 30 pounds or around 13.5 kilos, that would mean that you would need to be in that deficit of 500 calories per day for around about 7 months to get to the point where you've then hit your goal. So with that in mind, we need to find a diet that not only works and gets you results, but is something that you can stay consistent with for a long period of time. There's a saying that I quite like, and it's applicable to all areas of life, and it's that fast doesn't last. And although it is applicable to other areas of life, when it comes to dieting, I think this is super relevant. And there are so many people I speak to, and they've gone through these countless attempts of seeing changes, and more often than not, when I'm speaking to someone who's tried to lose weight, they've tried different diets in the past, they have actually done something where they've been successful in losing the weight. It's come off, maybe they've lost a stone, 2 stone, 3 stone, however much it might be. And this might be like you. Comment below and let me know what you tried if this sounds familiar. But they've done this dieting phase, they've lost this weight, but the problem was the methods that they were using, it wasn't something that they could stick with long term. It wasn't realistic, it wasn't sustainable. So as soon as they stopped following that method, whether it was keto, fasting, shake diets, whatever it might be, then they stopped getting results and the weight only ended up coming back on, and they were back at square one. And this is the problem when it comes to what's the best approach, what's the worst approach, because every single diet actually works, but really it all comes down to what can you stick with for a long period of time. Because if you look at a diet plan, you look at an approach that you can follow and you think, okay, that looks good, but maybe I can do that for 6 weeks, or I can probably do that for about 8 weeks. And for me, that diet has already failed for you from day one. And ultimately, when I look back at all the failed attempts that I went through with my diet, it's because I was trying to make these extreme changes to the way that I was eating to get results as quickly as possible. But fat loss just doesn't work that way. Like I said, we've got that example of needing to be in a deficit of around about 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. So whatever approach you take, you have to be playing the long game. And it's not that there is a best diet, there is a worst diet, but the way you have to think about it is every single diet will work, but what is the approach that's going to work for me as an individual with my lifestyle, with my commitments, taking into account your time, your job, family, all of these things, because it's irrelevant if you want to pick the most optimal diet, the diet that you think will get you the results the fastest, if you're only actually able to stick with that for 3 to 4 weeks and you just can't go with it long term, because you're just going to end up in this constant cycle where you diet, you lose motivation because something happens, you diet, you're on it for 3 weeks and then you're off it for a month, and you lose a couple of pounds, you put 3 pounds back on. You lose a couple of pounds, you put 5 pounds back on. And even though you're trying, even though you are motivated and you do have drive to change, you always just feel like if anything, you're taking steps backwards in the wrong direction because you haven't found that approach that works for you. So this is what I want you to do instead. Moving forward, rather than thinking of certain diets as good and certain diets as bad and ranking things from best to worst, what I want you to do is to look at how you eat right now. Because what we know is the meals that you're choosing at this moment in time, the meals that you pick for your breakfast, your lunches, and your dinners, we know that within reason, they work with your schedule, they work with your lifestyle and your commitments. And what we can do, which is going to make this process far easier for ourselves in terms of being able to stick with this diet long term, is rather than thinking that we're going to completely change all of the meals that we're having, the better approach, the approach that I always recommend that has seen my clients go through completely life-changing transformations, is to look at what you're having right now and ask yourself, how can we possibly adapt the meals that we're eating at the moment so that they're more in line with the long-term goals that we've got. And this approach is going to be much, much easier when we look at compliance over a period of weeks and months, because we already know that you like the meals that you're having, we already know that they fit in with your schedule, and we know that this is something that you can stick with because it's what you're doing at the moment. So it might just be that we need to look at portion sizes. We need to look at ensuring that you've got a source of protein in every single meal. It might need to be that we're adding in fruits and vegetables to certain meals so that you've got a more balanced and healthier diet as well. But doing this will nearly always lead to better results than trying to completely overhaul every single meal that you have. And I'm not suggesting that there won't be some meals that need to go, there won't be some new things that need to come in, because almost certainly there will be, but you need to be designing your diet around you rather than looking for general solutions. And this is where so many people get it wrong, because if you are a busy parent that works all day, you work out of home, so you're not like a work from home person, you have to go to work physically every single day, you work maybe 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. and you're looking at a diet that's been made by a 22-year-old who doesn't have to go out to work, they work from home, they're at home all day, they've got access to be able to make meals fresh constantly. That diet is never going to work for you because it's not designed for your lifestyle. So you're looking for constant general solutions when instead you need to look at what is the solution that's actually tailored for me as an individual and takes into account who I am, what I've got going on with my life, my likes and my dislikes. And that's another thing why I will never give a client a list of here's a list of foods you can eat and here's a list of foods you can't, because I know that that approach doesn't work, because what I like to eat might be very different to what you like to eat. But if you're trying to follow a list of foods which I like and you don't, then it's never going to work. And you can hopefully see where I'm going with this now. You have to design your diet based around you. So what I would be doing is almost looking to create myself a bit of a menu. So I want 2 to 3 breakfasts that I know that I enjoy. I want maybe an option of a couple of different lunches. And what I would say here is you don't want to try and have too many different meal options. Keep it simple, because if you overcomplicate it, again, that's where it becomes hard to stick to. And maybe just have 5 or 6 different evening meals that you rotate between that you know that you like. And sometimes we can make slight adaptations, whether you're used to having like a takeaway pizza night on Saturdays. Now that you might do homemade pizza night and you find healthier alternatives, but you still keep in those things that you enjoy. And this is where it comes back to what I was saying, is that as long as you are in a calorie deficit, we've got that gap there between the amount of calories consumed versus the amount of calories you're burning, you will lose fat, you will lose weight, and your body shape will improve. So it doesn't matter strictly what foods you are, like you can, there's not a list of foods you can eat and a list of foods you can't. What matters is being consistent over the long term, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you design your own diet around foods that you like to eat, that work with your lifestyle, your commitments, whether you've got a partner or kids that like to eat in a certain way, and you know that it's something that you can do for a period of months or maybe eat in this way forever, rather than it being something that you look at that I can stick with this for 6 weeks, I can stick with this for 8 weeks, but after that I'll probably go back to what I was doing before. Because if that's your approach, you'll never be able to actually see results long term, and you'll always just be stuck in this vicious cycle. So coming back to that question which I promised I would answer at the start of this video, of what actually works when you've got a goal of fat loss, what actually works is the diet that you can stick to as an individual. Stop looking for answers of what your favorite influencer on Instagram or YouTube is following, because it might just not be relevant for you if their lifestyle is so completely different to yours and they do not have the same commitments that you have. The diet that works is the one that you enjoy. It's based around foods that you actually like to eat. It's simple and easy for you to stick with, and it's something that you can see yourself going along with for a period of months rather than weeks.